In this class, I would like to show you how to write SQL statements using phpMyAdmin. We first need to launch the Apache web server and the MySQL database. I would like to point out that you can click the Admin button in the control panel to launch phpMyAdmin. You are looking at the opening page or the home page of phpMyAdmin. Remember, this is a website running on a browser. On the left, you see the databases in alphabetical order. The last one is the World Database, where we will be working. When I click the plus sign, it expands to show me the three tables: city, country, and country language. If I click on the city table, it will display the contents in the Browse tab. Note that there are different tabs in this application where different processes are performed. We are looking at all of the data in the city table. Notice we have a select statement. phpMyAdmin has executed this select statement in order to display the rows of information that we see. This is our select all from the city table. If I click on the Structure tab, it will show me the structure of how those columns were created. I can modify those columns and I can add new columns here also. The next tab is the SQL tab. This is where you will be running all of your SQL statements or SQL queries in order to return results. Notice that since we have selected the city table, phpMyAdmin knows that. It also knows the database. There is a sample select statement ready for us to work with. On the right, we see the columns that are in the city table. On the bottom, we see different SQL commands. Most of them we'll look at later. I would like to point out there is a select all or a select star and a select. We will be working with the select statement throughout the majority of the first part of this course. phpMyAdmin encloses the column names with these tick marks. They are not needed, and I typically remove them. We will not be working with the where clause yet, so that will not be used in this demonstration. So here I have a select statement, select all from city. In order to execute this query, I need to click the Go button. When I click the Go button, the results set is shown to me. It tells me how many rows are currently being displayed. It tells me the total number of rows and how long it took to execute the query. Here I see the select statement that was executed, and I see that I am on the first page with 25 rows per page. There are arrow keys to advance to the next page and to the end page. Should I wish to use this query again to add to it or modify it, I can click the Edit link and it will take me back into the Query tab. Now I am back in the query box. Notice the SQL tab is now highlighted. Rather than displaying all of the columns in the city table, I will display two. I will display the name of the city and the population. As I start to type in the name of the column, which in this case is name, as I type in the N, I have a little bit of help here from phpMyAdmin showing me commands and also column names that start with an N. So I can select name, and now I can use the comma. Notice when there is an error, and technically this is not an error, I just haven't finished yet, you will see the red line and the red X. Rather than type in another column name, I can use the column list on the right select it, and send it over. Notice that phpMyAdmin put the tick marks around it. So if I want, I can remove those tick marks. It is not wrong to leave the tick marks in there. Eventually, you will be using the SQL code that you develop in phpMyAdmin in your PHP application. And having those tick marks in there makes it hard to work with the PHP code. That is why I typically remove them. So now I will execute this SQL statement, and now I will see that I have a result set of rows from the city table that just contain the name of the city and the population. Should I wish to work with this SQL statement some more, I will click the edit link, and now I am back in the box. And now we will use an alias for the name column. So I will edit my SQL code, add the as keyword, and I will call this city name. Because I have two words, I will place quotations around them. And now I will click my Go button again. And now you can see that city name is the name for the column, rather than the column name that was initially defined in the table. I would also like to point out that there is color coding on your SQL statements to help you identify the different parts of the statement. Notice that all SQL-related keywords are purple, and we see that this literal is orange. If we use the column name with a tick mark, it would be blue. When you leave this page, you do not need to save these changes. So if you wanted to execute an SQL statement for another table, such as country language, make sure that it is selected, and then you click on the SQL tab, and you can type in your statement in the query box. SQL statements are typically terminated with a semicolon. Because we are only executing one statement at a time, it will run without it. However, it is considered good practice to always terminate your statement using a semicolon.